Introducing the ultimate showdown in Street Fighter the movie video game. Step in the shoes of iconic characters such as Guile, played by legendary Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yes, that's right. This is the only game back in the day where you can play as the legendary Jean-Claude Van Damme. And when I first saw this game at Blockbuster, I was extremely excited and was like, oh my god, I'm a huge Van Damme fan. I have to play this. But unfortunately, I didn't have a Sega Saturn, so I wasn't able to do that. And I actually didn't know that they made Street Fighter the movie game on the PlayStation 1. So that's what we're going to play on right now on my emulator here. So this is the character screen. Of course, all the guys that are in the movie are, in the game as well. Yeah. So we're going to play with Van Damme
Guy versus
Blanca.
Round 1, fight! You lose. Round 2, fight!
So if you're like me and you grew up a big Van Damme fan, you probably heard of this game, and especially the movie, because the movie was very popular at the time. But unfortunately, the movie was terrible, and so was the video game. But I don't know. I think the game's pretty good. Actually, it's considered one of the worst fighting games, but I think it's cool that you can play with Van Damme. Like, it's actually him. Because as you can see here, it looks kind of similar to Mortal Kombat, pretty much, to where they have like the blue screen or green screen, and then do moves, and then they put it in the game, kind of like what they did with Mortal Kombat back in the day. And then they did the same thing here with Street Fighter. Didn't do very well at all. But I remember seeing the commercial for it, and I seen it at Blockbuster, and then I was really excited. Didn't get to play it until all these years later. And I'm playing on an emulator, so there's actually no music. I wasn't sure if there was music or not, like for the soundtrack. I actually looked it up, and music's not really good either, so I'm not really missing anything. So I just figured I'd put my voice in here and talk while I'm playing.
You win.
There's the classic Van Damme pose. All right, and we moved over to the movie version of like the game, where you just have little screens like that, where you go throughout the game, characters like talking to you and stuff like that. As you see here, the background with the boats, that's kind of, they had that in the Street Fighter movie as well, and then they put that version of the movie in the video game. So you see that in the background here. I think it's pretty cool, especially for 1995. And there's a couple of versions of this game. Like I said, this is I'm playing it on an emulator. This is the PlayStation 1 version. I think the best version of Street Fighter, the movie game, is the arcade one that you put the coins in back in the day. And I remember they advertised on the commercial, they showed that version of the game, and then it said for Sega Saturn and PlayStation. But they were showing the arcade version, which had really way better graphics and it looked way better. And then when you get it, you expect that, and then you get what we have here, which doesn't look as good. You can totally YouTube it and look up Street Fighter the movie arcade game, and then you can tell the difference between how the arcade version looks a lot better, and the music and soundtrack's a little little different than the Saturn version and the PlayStation 1 version. So, a little disappointing.
You lose.
I lost.
Round 2. Fight.
And fun fact, if you didn't know, Johnny Cage on Mortal Kombat was based off of Van Damme. And they originally asked Jean-Claude Van Damme to, have his likeness and all that stuff back in the day to be in the video game. And I guess he said no because, it was the first Mortal Kombat game. And not sure where his head was at. I guess he didn't know if it'd be popular or not, if it'd make him any money, if he was too busy or whatever. But he ended up saying no. And then Mortal Kombat was a huge success. And unfortunately, he said yes to Street Fighter for some reason, and the movie sucked, and so did the game.
You lose. 7, 6. I never give up.
That's not even Van Damme's voice. But all these years later, he said yes to Mortal Kombat, and now he's kind of a character in the new Mortal Kombat game, which, I don't know. I feel like it's better back in the day, like in this game here. And then here we go. I'm DJ, which is in the movie, like barely in the movie, but they put him in the game. He's actually pretty good in the video game. Not sure what his power moves are. It's kind of hard with the controller that I have to figure it out. There's E Honda.
You win.
Then we're gonna move on.
Ryu versus Chun-Li. Round
Ryu
1.
versus Chun-Li.
You win.
You win. Of course, when you do story mode, I didn't show it on here, but the very first time you play and fight against M. Bison, and it's extremely hard to beat him. And then you end up going throughout the game, going to each person, and then like I showed you in the beginning of this video where it showed Ken talking, it's just kind of like that when you go through the movie mode version.
You win. Next fight. Ryu versus Guy. Round 1. Fight. Hadouken! Tatsumaki senpukyaku!
Now, another thing, these games are extremely hard. Back in the day, and I actually read something, or it was like an interview or a video. I saw it somewhere, and I was like, wow, that makes complete sense. Where you would rent these games at Hollywood Video or Blockbuster or whatever video store you rented games at the time. They made it extremely hard on purpose, just so you couldn't beat it, and so you would have to go back and rent it again. So that was a cool
Round 2.
fun fact that I had
Fight.
no idea. Even when you put it on easy, those games are hard. So you're constantly renting them over and over again and try to beat them. Because a lot of these games, when you do the story mode or whatever, they're not really that long, anyways. But when you make it extremely hard to beat, they do that on purpose. So you got to keep constantly running the game over and over again. You waste your money and actually buy the game, which, if you have money, unfortunately, if you bought this game, hopefully you got your money back, which you actually can, because if you go on eBay right now and look up Street Fighter the movie game on PlayStation 1, this game is actually a lot of money. It's like going for like $50 to $100 for the disc version. I have no idea why. When you can just get an emulator and just play it on there, because it's literally the same thing. You might not have some music or whatever, but the music's not even good anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, if you want to go ahead and do that, then go for it. I actually did think about it because I was a huge Van Damme fan, and I'd never played this game before and always wanted to play it. And I was an adult, I played it, and I'm like, wow, this game sucks.
You lose.
And that's it. I lost.
9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Game over.